Hi, good morning.
Hi. Hello.
It's nice to see you all. Okay, so good morning, everyone. We are going to start a new course about the unfolding dependent origination, significance, and application in daily life. I'm Sanjoy Borua Chaudhary, based on originally from Bangladesh, and about me, I completed my education from Thailand. So I have been in Bay Area in California, in Berkeley, since last year from March. So just before pandemic start. So it's very nice to having you all and joining the class. And before we start our class, so shall we know that who are you and where are you from? Maybe I can start with Clara. Yeah, I can see from my.
Good morning. My name is Claire Ford, and I've been taking classes at Dharma College since 2015, and enjoyed them very much. They've been of great value in my life, and I live in El Sobrante, California.
Thank you, Clara, for joining this class. And may I say, ask from Roger.
Oh, I'm Roger Grau from Ames, Iowa. I've taken some classes at the Nyingma Institute before, and this is my first Dharma College class.
Welcome to Dharma College. Thanks for joining, Roger. And Jeff is Jeff.
I'm in just a little south of you in Mountain View, California. And I think, Sanjoy, I was on your fairly recent Zoom course on the sort of diaspora of Buddhist thought, or the different Buddhist schools. So really enjoyed that a lot.
Oh, thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm glad that you like this that classes. Yeah, and may I know that J.D. Doherty. Yeah.
Hi, I'm J.D. Doherty. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to be with you. I'm actually pretty close to you. I'm over by Ohlone Park. So I live here and also in Brooklyn, New York, which I'll be returning to during the middle of this course. But I've got an email and it said this would be something I really need to brush up on. So I'm here to reinforce the little that I do know, and
Yeah, thank you for joining. Yeah, it's nice to see you all actually. And I may ask Luki Wehel.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Doctor. Yes, I'm Lucky Vihal. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, but I live near London. Been here for a very long time now, and I've been following various courses on Buddhism recently, and I thought I'll improve my knowledge by joining your sessions.
Oh, thanks for joining, Lucky. Ayubaman. May I ask from Shamanta? Who are you?
Hi, Dr. Chowdhury and everyone. I'm also from UK, so quite far away from USA.
Oh, thanks for joining.
Yeah, and it's something I've always been interested in, the Dhamma, and I've been following Bhikkhu Bodhi's sessions, Dhamma College, which I enjoy very much, and and it's something that it's really close to my heart, the dependent origination, and I like to really get to grips with it and learn more about it. So looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you very much. Despite it's a different time zone. Thanks for joining this class. I hope that you may enjoy these 6 weeks of course.
Oh yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you. And how about John Gross? Hi. Can you unmute, please? Oh, we can hear you.
Sorry about that.
Hi.
Hello, good morning. I followed the course on early Buddhism and have been listening to the Bodhidharma. And I liked the last person saying that she wanted to get to grips with dependent origination, and I second that. I would like to get to grips with it also. Thank you.
Thank you all. And last one, Ali. Hi, Ali.
Hi, everyone. I live in Burlingame. I just moved here this year, though. Before that, I was in Canada for a while, and I'm originally from Sacramento. And yeah, I'm new to studying Buddhism, but I have taken a course in the past at my previous college I went to, and I started taking meditation sessions at SF Dharma Collective. So I'm really interested in learning more and joining this class. So thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm so glad that all of you will be here, and I hope that all of you will be enjoy this course. And please, it is about we are grow up together. And if you need any question or any inquiry, so I try my best to assist to you all. And my apology that if I pronounce any of your name is wrongly, please forgive me. So anyway, so welcome again, once again. So our course is about we formed this course unfolding dependent origination, significance and application in daily life. So it is a 6 weeks of class, and in the 6th week we try to get some insight about the Buddha's vision, knowledge, and highest wisdom. So as we know, the dependent origination is one of the very important teaching from in Buddhist studies. So scholars very often it mentioned that the doctrine of dependent or the teaching of dependent origination as the heart of Buddhist studies. So throughout this course, this class that we like to get from root teaching based on Pali and Sanskrit scriptures. And as you know, in Buddhist if someone want to study the Buddhist classes, so the Pali and Sanskrit, these two languages are root language, it's considered, but almost that these two languages are almost dead language. It's no one is speaking for, using for, it's oral speaking, but it is about a scriptural language at the moment. So based on Pali and Sanskrit literature, so we like to explain what it is and how the teaching was evolved, and also that from the slowly the next class, and we can discuss about the conceptual framework of is how the dependent origination is it's related to, and it explain Buddhist psychology, and through the analyzing the mind and through the understanding the origin and cessation of suffering, and also that we will discuss in the later part about the how to apply the dependent origination in our daily life and to remove our stress, restlessness, or depression, something, or some like a bodily disorder. So this is very as we mentioned that this dependent origination is a very complicated teaching somehow. So we try our best and to speak clearly with clear language in English term, and of course definitely that the root teaching are recorded in Pali language and Sanskrit language. Sometimes it's tough to explain into the modern language, but we try our best to get in throughout the course to explain in our daily language. Okay, so it's a very first class. So we talk about in this class about what is dependent origination. So dependent origination is it is one of the central teaching of Buddhism or Dharma. And this term, if you are familiar with Eastern language, or in Pali or Sanskrit, it says about paticca samutpada. It is a Pali language, and normally Pali and Sanskrit is a long sentence. I mean, long word. So it has according to grammatically, they have some kind of the structure, and it can divisions. So many words come together in one word. So, but I just giving the idea that the root word in Pali, it mentions paticca samutpada, or Sanskrit pratitya samutpada. So paticca or paticca samutpada is divided into two words, paticca and samutpada. Even samutpada also divided into two, sang and utpada. So we just try to get why it says dependent origination. We just try to mention. So the term paticca, it means because of or on account of having more or gone forward or dependent upon. And samutpada, samutpada. Utpada means origination or arising. And samutpada literally, we translate according to Yanamoli's dictionary, it translates rising on the ground of, happening by way of cause, co-arising, or coming into existence together. So it's something talking about that, about the origination, to try to find out the root cause, try to find out the origin of the fact. So literally, these two terms, paticca samutpada or pratitya samutpada, we can translate as dependent origination, dependent rising, or dependent co-arising. Sometimes some translator that translate as interdependent origination as well. So throughout my my course, I stay with the one word, dependent origination. So dependent origination, it is the one of the hard teachings. And if someone can be really grab this term and understand the concept, for him, he can be, it says like he can be eradicated and released from his suffering. Actually, it is most about intellectual base, also practice base as well. So intellectual and practice coming into together. So, and also that another thing in Buddhist aspect, they emphasized morality and moral practice. So morality is based the basic principle of morality or moral practice. They start with the 5 precepts. So as we all know, the 5 precepts, like I just recalling that number 1 is abstain from killing. So abstain from killing any animals, or including all sentient beings. So it's very harmful. And abstain from lying. We all know, abstain from stealing, and abstain from sexual misconduct, and abstain from intoxicant. So based on the moral practice, someone can see the fact, the root. And we have this moment like happiness and suffering. So according to the Buddhist way, or Buddhist literature say that happiness itself also part of the suffering. And literature explain like everything is impermanence. So happiness, the moment of happiness is lasting for a few moments, maybe few days. It's tough to continue that moment. So in this case, happiness itself, it's impermanent. So everything is conclude as suffering. So the object of to provide the doctrine of dependent origination is to eradicate suffering by understand the root cause of suffering. So therefore, one of the scholar, his name Venerable Buddhaghosa, he sometimes say that paticca samutpada as the paticca samma utpada. So let me allow this to use a few Pali language. I'm explaining to you. As you know, paticca samutpada in our earlier slide, we explained paticca and samutpada. That means dependent origination. So he said paticca samma utpada. Samma, it means the right view or right things, right action. So he said that having dependent a right arising. So because he mentioned dependent origination as the right arising, about having dependent a right arising, because it's the term using the objective of the right, that means that it's based on the ethical some aspect is related. So ethical is moral behavior by practicing that precepts, concentration, and by practicing precepts and concentration, one can be improve his wisdom. So as you know that precepts, as we discussed a little bit, but precepts there's there are a lot of, when you go in depth within the precepts, you can see that some of the moral practice and some also that based on the Bodhisattva vow, and as we know, the 6 perfections, such as practice of patience, practice of effort, and practice of morality. So all these things, by practicing the precepts or by improving the moral behavior, and also including the samadhi, like concentration, one can develop the wisdom. So, and also according to Samyutta Nikaya, one of the texts of earlier Buddhist text, in English say that the connected discourses of the Buddha, it was translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi as well. In this text, it mentioned by purifying morality, one is purified wisdom. By purifying wisdom, one is purifying morality. So morality and wisdom always comes together. So we can't be isolated. Morality and wisdom. Wisdom without morality, it's somehow meaningless. So wisdom based on morality is meaningful and helping oneself and helping to others. So this all are the right action. Therefore, Venerable Buddhaghosa, he explained that paticca samutpada as the paticca samma utpada. Or again, we can translate as paticca samutpada, dependent origination, or having dependent a right arising. So we still in the concept, and why the teaching of dependent origination is so important. So when as we know that all the historical Buddha's journey. So after he renounced his royal palace and royal family in the 6th century BCE, So he looking for salvation. He was looking for freedom. And according to the scripture, we came to know that there were 4 sights that he was experienced. He saw the one dead body, one old man or old age people, and one guy. He was ascetic, and one sick person. So when he saw these sick people, old people, and dead people, he really feels suffering, and he understood that the life he was looking for beyond suffering, beyond the deathlessness. So he renounced his royal extravagant life, and he experienced with many guru or teachers in ancient India, and then he moved for he looking for how can he get rid of this suffering, and what is the exact model for freedom or definition or liberation. So the Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha, he was his early name. Then he went to the many gurus, many teachers, and many teachers gave him many ways of practice. Some teacher provide him some yoga practice. Some teacher also mentioned that by body one can be released from his suffering. And he also went for some kind of the extreme level of practice. So later on, like when he had this insight to understand about the middle way, he identified the difference between the extreme and non-extreme practice. So he went through the very deep practice, deep meditation, and by actually the meditation in his time, like he emphasized, according to scripture, we know that he applied the 4 foundational mindfulness practice that we saw, that Satipatthana, 4 foundational mindfulness practice, and also that he went through the kind of very deep insight, and he looked at his mind, and he looked at his the root cause of suffering. And when he went in depth and he penetrated into deeper, he can see all the facts. What is the cause for suffering? And after he saw the cause of suffering, then he identified the way, the cessation of suffering. So maybe you can ask that, what is suffering? Like, what is the exact form of suffering? Maybe there's so many definitions for suffering. In Pali and Sanskrit, they use the term dukkha. So dukkha, in English, we can say suffering. Maybe many definitions like pain, lamentation, grief, unpleasant moment. This all are dukkha, all are suffering. So dependent origination, it is the theory, it is a concept. So in this teaching, it explains a model how to find out the root. And after you find out the root of dukkha, you can start to work with this, how to cease and how to eradicate that problem. So therefore, the Buddha said, this term, very popular terms in the East too, he said, one who sees dependent origination, he can seize the Dharma. Or one who sees the Dharma or Dharma, he can see the dependent origination. So the term Dharma or Dhamma, we can say that we can translate as the truth. We also can translate the reality, the phenomena, and you can translate it at also that the finding the truth of freedom. So there is according, if you go to the scriptural term, there's so many translation about the term dharma, but in this case we can translate as to understand the truth. By understanding truth, one can realize the teaching of dependent origination. So, sorry. Again, the dependent origination, it's said to be the heart of right view or right understanding. So it is the understanding that beginning noble path, in addition to a realization that gives life to a life of wisdom and freedom. So as we can say that right understanding or right view. So view in you can say it is a, you can say the many sutra, many discourses. What is the view? So view is translated as wrong view too, but in Buddhist term, they specify, they say right view. And what is right view? Right view is Noble Eightfold Path. These are the right view. So actually, right view is belong to Noble Eightfold Path, but it is itself practicing Noble Eightfold Path. It is the part of walking onto the path of right view. So as we said a little bit about the Noble Eightfold Path, these are the eight matters, like right view, right action, right concentration, right mindfulness, right effort, right livelihood, and what else I forget. But anyway, there's eight points. So these all are right view, right action. So as again, I like to emphasize that dependent origination, not only the concept, not only the mere philosophy, it is most about the practical aspect, most about the practice, realization. How can we realize? How can we see the nature? How can we see the reality as it is? And another aspect of dependent origination is it describes the law of nature, which exist at the natural causes of things. So the law of nature, it's about our life. We are part of the nature. Human being or animal being, all the people, we are part of the nature. So as a part of the nature, we need to accept the reality. Since we born, we need to accept the reality of old age, aging, and death. So these are the part of the nature. So it is that we are in the cycle. We're in the cycle of this nature. So we are connected and each other. So one thing very it is a very popular saying, like in India, Buddha was not a god. He did not represent himself. He's a messenger. He was not a messenger of the god, or he was. He also did not like to emphasize himself. There's the existence of the god as well. But he did not mention this point directly in the scripture. But in Buddhist studies and Buddhist concept, they skip. And also the Buddha did not. He was just mentioned himself. He's a being, sentient being like us, And the difference between us and him is that he worked out and he emphasized and he realized the truth of suffering, and he worked for that. So, I mean, he also encouraged them by practicing morality and wisdom, one can be reveal the truth of suffering, and he can be eradicate the suffering and find the path of freedom. So everything is coming with the nature. It's a part of the nature. Within the part of this nature, we still have opportunity to go beyond the nature by eradication of our suffering, and understand the nature, understand the reality, and overlook the reality as it is. So it says that the Buddha was not a emissary of heavenly commandment, but the discoverer of the principle of natural order and the proclaimer of its truth to the world. So dependent origination, by explaining dependent origination, he explained the truth, the cycle of the nature, the cycle of samsara. Maybe you can heard this term, all of you, sometime, samsara. So samsara is a cycle of life, a cycle of from the birth to death. So Buddhist people and Buddhist term, they use the term rebirth. So rebirth and birth again. So it is it's the cycle of the life, samsara. So to understand the cycle of the life, it is the part of the teaching of dependent origination. So I'm sorry. Again, that we can see that it describes the vision of life and understand in which we can see everything is interconnected. So we can't separate anything. I mean, everything is in our practical life too. We can see that all are interconnected. Everything is part of the nature. Like since the for example, for instance, like the pandemic, this is one of the good example. So we can see that we all are affected somehow. I know that some people as well that who haven't go outside for a year. So just he haven't seen the people, just lockdown, because of we all are, not only the it's many cases, many examples. Maybe because of this current pandemic, then we can say many people, we lost many people, our friends, relatives, so it's everything connected. We cannot be isolated. So all are part of the nature. So to accept the reality, and we need to work out how to stop this problem. So this is we can see that origination and cessation. So in between origination and cessation, we can see our samsaric life everything is interconnected. Everything affects everything else. We are part of the system. And also, it is we explain understanding dependent origination is a rising of insight. So once this system of causal relationship is understood on the inner level, so insight into the inside. My teacher always translate the center into the center. Try to back, try to see the root, try to see every single fact is very clearly. So try to understand, try to develop the inner quality. So understand on the insight level, we are then in a position to see the connection between these inner factors and the causal relationships in society and the natural environment. This is the approach adopted in the teachings of dependent origination. So since we see that every single fact, all are connected to each other. And our life is a big example. So after we're born, we have our childhood. We went to school, college, universities, looking for job, family life, and have friends, traveling. So and at the end of the life, like aging, old age, and have to accept the death. All are related to each other. It is a cycle. So we can see we are part of this process. But here, it is we just see our physical change, but we also can see our mental changing too, the moment to moment, the regime of the mind. So our mind has a lot of movements. So it's changing a lot. It's not still for a long time. It have a proliferation. Our mind is proliferating by external thoughts. So that's why our emotion, it's involved with this changing. So we can see that to understand that changing, and this is a reality. So to see the reality, we can work out. We can see our single fact. Why we sometimes be happy, sometimes we is very angry, sometimes we are very sad, sometimes we are very exhausted. So we can see the fact, we can see the reason why it's happening, how the mind is playing with all the fact. So mind is the predominant for every single actions. So from the mind, our verbal language, our physical behavior, and also mental behavior, all are moving, all are changing. So if we can transform our mood in wholesome way, we can say that how many good things we can produce for others, for us and others. So it is all about the understanding dependent origination. It's all about the arising of insight or developing inner quality. So the dependent origination and the Buddha's enlightenment. So as we know that enlightenment, so enlightenment is a very popular term, and in Eastern language, or Pali and Sanskrit, we can say that for spiritual aspect, it is arahat or arahant. That means those who is taprooted and who eradicated his defilements. So there's so many. It depends. What are you looking for? But after the historical Buddha's journey, his initial time, he struggled a lot, and as we discussed, that he went to many teachers, but he finally proclaimed himself as enlightenment when he saw the truth of dependent origination in both ways. See the origination of suffering along with the cessation of suffering. So he struggled, and so after to find out origination of suffering, he saw the problem. He saw the root of the dukkha. He saw how he was attachment, defilements, craving, or desire, and he saw his ignorance to attach for something, and Cho identified all the fact, and slowly he moved for his next step, how to eradicate. So after he work out and he saw the chain of every single factor, then he moved to the then he claimed himself, he became an enlightenment, or arahant or arahat. So this whole process he compiled as teaching of the dependent origination. Therefore, the Buddha said, dependent origination appeared to him as the astonishing, eye-opening discovery that brought about vision, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and light during the period while he struggled for enlightenment. So actually, I include this picture. Actually, it's from the Bay Area, from San Francisco Asian Art Museum. So this picture, this statue is very interesting. It was built from the 5th century to 7th century, and it was found in the Bihar, North India. So you can see that the Buddha statue, and he touching the earth, as we say that Bhumi Sparsha. So it was a moment, that time it was represent the moment the Buddha was enlightenment. So he needs to be it have a many explanation from different texts, like 2nd century of 4th century one text, Venerable Asogosa, Lalita Vistara, the life story of the Buddha, and this long time ago, this text mentioned that he was he has an argument with his own defilements. So he had an inner conversation, and the conversation, it was explained as the Buddha and the Mara. But Mara, there's many explanation. But my understanding is that he was struggle. He had an inner conflict, and during the process of his enlightenment. So during that time, he determined himself that his mind is not scattered. He obtained the stillness, and he stopped the mental proliferation. So he came to the one pointedness, and with a deep concentration, and he was determined that, yes, I eradicate my defilements, my attachment, my craving, my desire, my fermentations. And that's by eradicating, by stopping. I mean, eradication, in this term, we can say that he stopped to produce new defilement. So, as it is a human nature that we have a desire. But since we understand that the level of desire, and it is the beyond of our needing, so a practitioner need to stop to produce more desire. So that is eradication of desire. Of course, we have to be followed. It's not that like I'm not stay away from my basic or daily basic needings. I have to know where should I need to stop my desire. So stopping to produce new desire. That is the, this is another part, another term for enlightenment. So anyway, so the process, the time that when he was struggle and he was trying to find out the root of the suffering, and he saw the root of suffering, and he went to the cycle of the life. So he went back, he flashed back his old life, and he saw that in his early life it was very luxurious. He came from a royal family, so he did not know the human nature. He did not know the problem of the worldly nature. And whereas he was in enjoying his royal extravagance, on the other side in the world, they're suffering. Maybe some people, they don't have a food. Some are sick in the body. So, he make a balance. He went back his previous life, and then he found that birth itself is suffering. Of course, that because of, there's so many explanations of the birth. So conventionally, we can explain the birth is just we just born, but in the Buddhist aspect, birth of defilement, birth of attachment, it's also suffering. It's create more problems. So ultimately, it calls for dukkha. So understanding, after he went through all the experimental part, and by through reflecting in his mind and concentrate his mind into the deep practice, so he realized that the teaching of dependent origination, it said dependent origination appeared to him as the astonishing, eye-opening discovery that brought about the vision, knowledge, panya or wisdom, understanding, and light or illuminous during the period when he was struggling to achieve his final destination. So it is a skill, it is a wisdom to know what he was looking for. Finally, he found that he was looking for to eradicate the suffering from samsaric cycle. And another terms after the Buddha's enlightenment. So throughout he concluded the dependent origination, and the whole process is the lifetime work. It's not a very easy. It's not that like just within a moment we can understand it. It's very hard to get it, but we need to work out very hard by our heart, by our mind, by intentionally, and provide our effort to see the fact. So, once the Buddha and his disciple, his attendant Ananda, so he has a conversation about the doctrine of dependent origination. So Ananda asks to Buddha that, "Oh Lord, I understand dependent origination. It's so easy for me." So actually, Ananda was he was a very enthusiastic person. According to the scriptures, it was 2,600 years ago. So he was a Buddha's cousin brother. So he came to the path for helping the Buddha, and he liked to be attendant for him. He take care of him very well. So he, during the time he used to attend the Buddha's teachings, and and he said that, well, it's for me very easy. I understand the entire process of dependent origination. And Buddha scolded him. He said that, well, that don't say so. In Pali scripture mentioned Mahivachang Ananda. Don't saying so. So it is very hard to understand. It is a subtle, profound, and deep in implication, and very difficult to see the entire process. One need to have a clear mind. You can say crystal mind, like a clear water. So as we know that clear water, clean water, we can see the surface, and you can see the bottom of the level of the sea. So in the same way, with a clear, when you have a clear mind, we can see the entire process, and you can find out the root, the origination, and also we can see that how can you solve the problem. So without having clear mind or thorough understanding of the mind, it's tough to see the fact. Obviously, the clear mind is based on not only the intellectual, but also the practice of morality, moral behavior, moral action as well. And in this picture, it is very popular, a popular painting in the, we can say in the many monastery. If you travel to in the Thailand, Myanmar, and even the northern part of India and Bangladesh too, you can see this painting. I pick up from there actually. So it's a Buddha when he was just before his passing away, and it's his disciple Ananda. So Ananda was, he seems like he was crying. He was very painful that after he passed away. So anyway, it was a very popular conversation. I mean, it's a very common dialogue. Common discussion in the East. Dependent origination is very difficult. And Buddha called it Ananda, and he said that, strongly mentioned that ones need to have the clear understanding. It is not intellectual base. It is more about the practice. So the next part, like Bhikkhu Bodhi also, many scholars, they said, Bhikkhu Bodhi, one of the very pioneer scholars in our time, he also mentioned that the teaching of dependent origination is the radical insight at the heart of the Buddha's teaching, from which everything else unfolds. And my own professor, he's Professor Kapila Avirvangsa from Sri Lanka. He always emphasized, and in his paper also he mentioned that the Buddha's teaching of dependent origination, it is the central philosophy of Buddhism, since it is the key, actually, one of the key part, and it covers everything: Four Noble Truths, Eightfold Noble Path, Four Foundations of Mindfulness, and all the intellectual part. So dependent origination, it explained. It can be when someone can really understand the teaching of dependent origination, it can see the entire process. So actually, I like to explain a little bit about something about early Buddhism. So in our in the initial part, we discussed the teaching of dependent origination based on early Buddhism. So early Buddhism is categorized as a pre-sectarian Buddhism. Before the pre-sectarian means like before the term like Theravada, Mahayana, Vajrayana, Zen tradition. So in the early time, it was just only one man. Everything's together. So it was obviously, the teaching was long time ago, like nearly 2,600 years ago. It's long history it has. So after the Buddha's born, and I mean the period after his enlightenment and up to the second Buddhist council, like first 100 years, we categorized as early Buddhism. And that time, there was no sectarian, there was no Mahayana, there was no Theravada, and everything are the same. Or So in the early Buddhism, we don't find the term Abhidharma too. There's only Dharma and Vinaya. But the Abhidharma tradition, it appeared later on. So it is a different topic. But what I just like to give the idea about when you say early Buddhism or early Buddhist teaching, we talk about only Dharma and Vinaya. And early Buddhism, the information are from the Pali text and Sanskrit Agama. So Pali text, as we know that the Buddhist text is divided and is called about the three baskets of Tipitaka. So Tipitaka consists of about Sutta Tipitaka, or the basket of discourses, the Vinaya, the basket of discipline, and Abhidharma, the basket of the higher doctrines. Sorry. So the early Buddhism, we can find only Sutta and Vinaya. There was no Abhidharma. Hi, Jeff. Yeah. Okay. I heard a question.
Yes,
Yeah.
Sanjoy,
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
wondering, in your description of early Buddhism, my understanding is that a text like the Visuddhimagga would not be considered early Buddhism.
Yeah, Visuddhimagga is not considered early Buddhism. Yes, it is right. It is came about 5th century, 1,000 years later after the Buddha's passed away. Yeah, but later on, after the 6th council and 5th council from Myanmar, they include the Visuddhimagga as a part of the Kuddaka Nikaya. But obviously, yeah, you are right. Sometimes some Sri Lankan scholars, they like to include the Visuddhimagga also, the teaching of Visuddhimagga also part of the earlier teaching, and based on earlier teachings, it evolved its concept. It also mentioned as a commentary too. It's a part of the and also introduction of the Abhidharma too. So yeah, Visuddhimagga is it has many controversy, many discussion about that. But Visuddhimagga and Vimuktimarga, there's another text written by Venerable Upatishatera in the 4th century, and Visuddhimagga came later, 5th century. So both of the texts somehow evolved based on similar concept of morality, wisdom, and concentration. But anyway, this early Buddhism, then I mean, when you say the categorize the early Buddhist term and Tipitaka, we just say the Sutta and Vinaya. Of course, Abhidharma is a bit controversial. Like some scholar, they try to emphasize that Abhidharma was spoken by the Buddha himself. But well, it was a development actually. We see the Abhidharma after 3rd Buddhist Council. We never see the presence of Abhidharma in the 1st Buddhist Council and the 2nd Buddhist Council. So it happened that first 2 councils happened within the 100 years after the Buddha's passing. And 3rd council held nearly 250 years later during the time of Emperor Ashoka in India. And you can see the Abhidharma Prakarana. And later on, you can see the 7 texts of Abhidharma according to the Pali tradition. And in the Sanskrit tradition, we also see the 7 texts of Abhidharma too. In Sarvastivada tradition, they explain, they evolved and mostly start from the 4th Buddhist Council during the time of Emperor Kanishka in South India, Kashmir, the present day Kashmir and Gandhara, like Pakistan, Afghanistan, this area. So in our yes, Samantha.
sorry to disturb you, Doctor.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify this now, this Abhidhamma.
Yep.
Was it actually taught by the Buddha, or was it something that was added later, afterwards? And if so, what was the purpose of it? Please.
Well, yeah. Well, according to the Majjhima Nikaya, Middle Line Discourse, I need to find out. I need to look at the exact sutra name. I forget it right now. But in Majjhima Nikaya, one of the sutra mentioned it. The Buddha went to heaven. So he taught his mother, who became reborn as as a deity, one of the deity in heaven. So he talked about higher doctrine, or very supreme doctrine like Abhidharma. But exactly that the teaching is not appeared. What kind of teaching it was? It was taught in the not in the earth. So later on, like as we know that from the Buddhist legendary scriptures and Buddhist history of the Buddhism, we say that one of his disciple, chief disciple, Mahamaggalayana, who have extraordinary power, psychic power, so who can go to the hell, heaven, and wherever he likes to go. So when he went to hell, heaven, he heard from the other, he have in conversation with the other deities that reported Buddha came here, and he talked about Abhidharma. He spent the time over three months. So this is we just know this one, but actually we don't know what kind of teaching it was. But later on, but we see that strong. A strong evidence about the sutra and Vinaya. But we also, if we see that the nature of Abhidharma, we say higher doctrine, in generally in English we translate, but Abhidharma is more about the analyzation of the mind or analysis of the mind. So regarding to the definition of Abhidharma, we can see that this nature, and Buddha explained many sutra, and also his disciple too, they analyzed many different ways. So like for example, one sutra from Sanyutta Nikaya, Bhikkhuni Dhammadinna, one of the nun. So she explained the classification, the 6 classification of consciousness of the mind. So in presence of the Buddha. So that means Buddha accepted this analysis. So we can see the nature, but we don't see exactly the Abhidharma, the present Abhidharma text, what is exists. We have 7 texts of Abhidharma right now. In Sanskrit tradition, we have 7, in Pali tradition 2. Like Bhikkhu Bodhi here also translate one of the texts, Abhidharmata Sangraha, the compendium of Abhidharma. So these all are later on his fellow monks, his disciples, and they are included. But Third Buddhist Council, what happened? The president, he told that the Buddha was talked to Abhidharma, and he said the Katavatu Prakarana was compiled by the Buddha. So my argument is that, well, if it was talked by the Buddha, this text, why I can't see the evidence in the First Buddhist Council of Second Buddhist Council? So in the information about First Buddhist Council and Second Buddhist Council, we can find from Samanta Pasadika, one of the text. It is called the Vinaya Commentary. And it hasn't translated into English yet. My Sri Lankan professor, Professor Kapil Avevamsa, and also Professor Tilak Karyavasam, they translated a few chapter in Sinhala language, and they give a talk as in English. Then we know that, like, we don't see that the appearance of Abhidharma, and in this text we see Dharma and Vinaya only. So well, he talked to maybe the tradition of Abhidharma was started by the Buddha. Maybe he started with from his mother. But yeah, we don't know exactly. But we just say that according to the, we can just provide information according to the scriptures.
Sure. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, so then in our discourses, the earlier, dependent origination, we move forward with the initially early Buddhist scriptures and early Buddhist text. So, and in early Buddhist, according to the early Buddhist information and the text, we can see dependent origination, it explained in two principles, two ways. One is the abstract way, and another is applicational principles. So as we know that if we can be look at all the text, the earlier text, we can see that all the teachings are somehow very close to each other. Like for me, in front, this is one text like Samyutta Nikaya, which in my hand, like one example. If you go back to if you go to this every single chapter, you can see all the teachings are somehow like close to each other. It's not isolated. So Buddha said that his statement, like throughout my whole life, I talk only two things. One is that dukkha samudaya, and another one is that dukkha nirodha. I'm sorry, it means like I talk the origin of suffering and cessation of suffering, the two things. So based on two things, depends on the context, climax, and the people's interest, the teaching evolved. So dependent origination, you can say in the two ways, two principles. As one's abstract one, abstract principle, it discuss about through the exposition of the cause and effect. And applicational part, it provide about 12-fold links or 12-fold formulas. Start with the ignorance, mental formations, consciousness, mind and matter, nama rupa, six sense bases, contact, feelings, craving, clinging, birth, death, old age. So these all are applicational principle. We can discuss later in our next class, but today we can talk about abstract one. So cause and effect. So it can be, we can say that it's related to karma, the concept of karma. So I'm going back to, according to the sutra, the abstract formula of dependent origination refers to the law of causation that has arisen depending upon causes and conditions, additionally known as the law of conditionality. So law of conditionality, what is that? That is the nature of the cycle, nature of the universe, universal law. So universal law, how can I tell you, like since we born, we need to accept our death. This is a law. Our old age, aging is a part of the life. And no matter, Buddha explained in that way, like he said that no matter the Buddha, Buddha appears or not, this condition exists and is a natural fact, a natural law. So this principle of conditionality, it's a part of the nature. Like it doesn't matter like if I alive or not alive. The sun will be rises and the sun will be set. The moon will be appears. It doesn't, it's all of the part of the nature. So, but when is the nature, which is the natural law, we can say the process. We can say that the cause and effect. So abstract formula, it explains that because of this, that happens. Because of that, this happens. And in the Majjhima Nikaya, and also some part of Samyutta Nikaya also explain, the Buddha said, when this exists, that comes to be, with this rising of this, that arises. When this does not exist, that does not come to, with the cessation of this, that ceases. So here we can see the clear understanding. Like, we need to understand the root of our problem. So it is all the process. So this process is a cause for dukkha, suffering, and this is the same process. After we eradicate that process, the cause, we can be, we can be eradicate, we can be cease our suffering. And this formula, this theory, it was explained by Narada Thera in his one of his very good texts. It is the Buddha and his teaching. It was in the early 80s. So he said that he explained the example like, because of A arises B. Because of B arises C. When there is no A, there is no B. When there is no B, there is no C. So we can be explain this term in the like clouds, water, and rain. So we know that we can get the water from the water when it steam and came to the sky and and it creates a cloud. So from cloud we can see the the rain appears, and from the by dropping from the rain, so the water also we can find the water from the rain too. So we can see the process. We can see the cloud, rain, and process. Like, because of clouds, rain occurs. Because of rain, water falls to the earth. When there is no cloud, there is neither rain nor water. It's not a good idea, actually, if there is no cloud or no rain. But we can just see the fact. So cause and effect. So we can think in this analysis into our daily life, that who is the creator for our problem and how the problem evolved. So when you see, having understood the root of our problem and having eradicated the root causes, we can see that bliss of freedom. So this abstract formula of dependent origination, it's all talk about the cause and effect. And in some of the teaching, you can see how the karmic consequences are engaged to human life and caused for more problem in samsaric existence. I give some part about practical formula of dependent origination. So that is actually a huge topic. But in today, I just talking about the just key point. So practical formula of dependent origination describes by two sequences, and it refers to the process of peoples or beings from birth to death. continuing from the one lifetime to another, and expresses a clear structure of samsara within the frame of 12-fold links. So, these 12 links, they're categorized into two ways. One is the forwarding and one is the reversing. So forwarding is finding out the origination of suffering, and reversing order, it finds out the cessation of suffering. So if you go to the 12 links, we can say start with the ignorance, and it is end of aging and death. So these 12 links, it is just Buddha's experimental, and it can be the more, maybe it can be 100, it could be thousands when you go and see the deep and deep, but it's general idea. So in entire early Buddhist scriptures, even Samyutta Nikaya, Digha Nikaya, and Majjhima Nikaya, so earlier term, we know about the 12 links only. And the Buddha always explained, and he explained this teaching based on the 12-fold formula. So the origination part, it says, with the condition of ignorance, mental formation of sankhara arises. And with the origination of mental formation, consciousness arises. So with the origination of consciousness, mentality and materiality, nama rupa, arises. In my next time, we discuss each of the facts. But today we just say that, getting this idea about the 12 things, how it came one after one. So from ignorance, mental formation, from mental formation, consciousness, from consciousness, mentality and materiality, from mentality and materiality, sixfold sense basis, from sixfold sense basis, contact arises, from contact, feeling, craving, clinging, becoming, birth, aging, and death. So this is the cycle. So this cycle explains the origination of whole mess of suffering. And this is called the forwarding orders. And reversing order, or patiloma, it started from the ignorance too, but it said, with the origination of ignorance, mental formation ceases. And by eradicating mental formation, consciousness, mentality and materiality, sixfold sense basis, in the same way, one can look at the taproot of the problem, of the process. So in this term, we can say that, like these 12 links, it's just general idea. It can be, it can be delineate, reveals the truth of suffering and how to eliminate the problems. So we can see that both of this term, like both forwarding order and reversing order, they're talking the common things that the whole mess of suffering, and forwarding orders is talk about the origination of suffering. A reversing order, this is the cessation of whole mess of suffering. It can show you the roadmap, the way, how to overcome from the problem. So this formula, it's not absolute. It could be more, but these 12 links are, within these 12 links, we can see all the fact. Like when you discuss about, consciousness, we can see the types of consciousness. There's so many types, and you can see attachment. We can see that there are classification of attachment, classification of desire. So we can see the entire process. We can see the cycle. It is from the psychological aspect, we can say how the problem was created and how can we overcome from this dukkha. So the important thing is that that the suffering is common. So just as we say that the early teaching of the Buddhism, we can say two things. One is the origination of suffering, and one is cessation of suffering. So the main purpose of dependent origination is to establish the reason why we suffer and to find a way of eliminating suffering once and for all. To understand this point, we must now take a look at the Buddha's discovery of dependent origination in the context of the story of his life. So as we discussed in his life before that, like before he has a very good life, and he came from the royal family. So by having observed the four sides, one is the old man, aging, sick person, dead, and one is ascetic. So he had this insight that, yeah, this ascetic, he has some reason why he became a monk, why he became ascetic, why he became household life to be the, ascetic life. What was the reason for that? So he, then he renounced his earlier family, royal life, and he went through his practice. So through his dependent origination, to discovering his the journey, he discovered that jati pachaya dukkha, suffering is caused by birth. So everything, since once born, the suffering is started. But the birth is not talk about our biological birth. It's talk about the birth of defilements, the birth of attachment, the birth of your the greed, hatred, delusion. So it is the root cause, one of the root causes for we coming to the samsaric existence. And in concluding part, I would like to share that how the Buddha appreciate. He said, when a noble followers or a practitioner fully knows or see the arising and cessation of the world as it is. So world here, the term world means like the reality, the phenomena. He is said to be endowed with perfect view, that is the right view, with perfect vision, to have attained the true Dharma, to possess the initiate's knowledge and skill, to have entered the stream of Dhamma, to be a noble disciple, replete with the purifying knowledge, one who is at the very door of deathlessness. I mean, it is deathlessness. This term is about nirvana. So it's a beyond death. Of course, we have to be, everyone need to be entered into the physical death, but it's called about like, you have to stop to produce new defilements. Eradication of defilements is deathlessness. Eradication of desire, taints, hatred, desire, all the things. It is enlightenment. It's concept, it's a part of the purification too. So dependent origination, it can delineate the, to give us the insight how to obtain the life as the deathlessness. It's, of course, it's based on wisdom and morality. So the ending part, so I like to say that the Buddha, how he was appreciate the teaching. He said, whichever recluse or Brahmin in this term as we say the wise being or wise person or noble followers, knows this condition, know the cause of this condition, knows the cessation of these conditions, knows the way leading to the cessation of these conditions. That recluse or Brahmin is worthy, the name of a recluse among recluse is worthy of the name a Brahmin among Brahmins, a noble person among the noble peoples. And of him, it can be said, he is attained to the goal of the recluse's life and the goal of Brahmin life due to his own higher wisdom. And the last one, sorry. Yeah, so it is the main the bliss to understand, to see the process, to see the nature of the reality through to apply our wisdom. So by understanding dependent origination, one truly can see the entire process, and you can see that the whole life process. And of course, one can be obtained into the peaceful life in peaceful manner, and also doing the wholesome for ones, for others, and practicing the 6 perfections, such as generosity, patience, providing the right effort, right action. So all the things are helping and provide the clear guidelines how the life should be. How can we make the life as meaningful, and and guide others in meaningful way? And how can we help the nature? How can we help the environment too? So environment right now is a big topic, big issue. Like we are not supporting, we are producing a lot of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and so it is now that we are part of the conditions. We are this, the global warming is it's also effect to us, and a lot of things are related into our we're affected by many things. This pandemic also one of the big example for that. So we can see the fact, the cause. So after we eradicate the cause and cut off the taproot, and we can see that we can make the world and us more meaningful and more beautiful too. So I hope that all of you have some insight. So it will be nice that if you have any questions, we can discuss some few things. So and I also found that I'm very glad that to having seen the another our participant, Professor Ronald Purser. So would you like to please introduce yourself here? Thank you.
Well, I think I wasn't here last time. So yeah, my name's Li Cheng. And actually, today I have some problems. I wasn't able to join the class at the beginning. So I will look at the recording.
Okay, thank you, Li Cheng, for joining. Yeah. And thank you, Professor. Yeah, Professor Ron.
Hi, I've been having some problems with my audio. Yes, I'm Ron Purser. Thank you for this excellent course on the dependent origination. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for joining. So yeah, I hope that all of you get some insight. So if any question and anything, then please ask me frankly. We can discuss here. We'll grow up together. Actually, we are still in the process. So it is lifetime journey for me, for us. Yeah.
Doctor, will the slides be on your website or?
Okay, I will share. Okay, I will share with everyone. It's not in the website, on the website. So okay, I will find a way to share. Yeah, and also maybe I will share some of the reading stuff. If you have a time, maybe I encourage that to read the root text, like Samyutta Nikaya, the connected discourses of the Buddha. So there's one chapter, it's called Nidana Samyutta, the 12 chapters of this text. It's a very huge section about, discuss about dependent origination. But anyway, I also really happy to share some of the part of my work, my project.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Yeah. So I hope that we all are enlightened.
I think the photos that you show and the artwork and that really, I think, visually gives a sense of the feeling, the essence of what you're trying to explain to us.
Okay, thank you. Actually, ending part, I share some of the pictures from a recent visit of Asian Art Museum. It's very interesting. Yeah, they provide me a lot of ideas related to my works. So yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, Doctor. That was really interesting. I really enjoyed that. It's a wonderful introduction to dependent origination. I was just thinking, at the beginning you said the whole of the Dhamma is in the dependent origination. So I can see the Four Noble, or the suffering and cessation. But what about the Satipatthana and the Four Foundation of Mindfulness and the what were the other ones? The Five Aggregates. And the Four Noble 8 parts. Where would that? Where do we see that in the 12 links? Or
yeah, we can see it's 12 links. Thanks for asking this question. Okay, I go back to the little bit about the slideshow. Maybe I will take a little bit time, 2 or 3 minutes time. Okay, okay. So share the slideshow. Okay, here you can see that in the theory, we can see that one is the origination, forwarding order, and we can see the reversing order. This is the origination order. It starts from. I will send you my translation about this sutra. It starts from with the condition of the ignorance, mental formation arises, and with condition of mental formation, consciousness arises, and it ends up with birth, aging, and death. Okay, and reversing order, you can see with the condition, with the cessation of ignorance, mental formation ceases. So origination part is talking about the root, and cessation part, we can see that the practice level. How can we improve our practice? That time we can see the so origination part. And we will discuss in one of the class. So I just give you regarding to your question, the Four Noble Truths and dependent origination. These are almost same, The Four Noble Truths, we can see there are four things like origin of dukkha, dukkha, the suffering, number one. Number two is dukkha samudaya, the origin of suffering. Number three, the cessation of suffering. And number four, the path of the cessation of suffering. So the first two parts is talk about the origin of the forwarding of order of dependent origination. And next two part is all about the cessation. And you can see that the cessation, the reversing order of dependent origination. And you can see Satipatthana, four foundation of mindfulness. We can see that, it is a practice, we can see this term in the cessation part and the reversing order of depend, it's finding out the how to find out ease and happiness to cut off the defilements. So four foundation of mindfulness, approach to and apply into our daily practice. We can see that, we can see it. We can later on we also discuss this topic too.
That's interesting. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. So one more question, is anything you ask?
I was thanks so much for this class, and I was wondering if you wouldn't mind repeating the chapter from the book that you had mentioned. That would be good to reference.
Yes, I'm repeating that the 12 chapters from this book, Nidana Sanyuttara, is chapter 12. Its name is Nidana. Nidana means the links, the 12 links, the links. So this chapter is talk about the briefly idea about the dependent, the origination, and another one I like to recommend, Mahanidana Sutra. So I write for you here, Mahanidana Sutta. So I will send you the translation too by Bhikkhu Bodhi. So this also mentioned about the 12 links of dependent origination.
Thank you.
Yeah. So okay, so I hope that all of you enjoy. So thank you very much for joining this class. So we will see you next week. Thanks. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.